KUGAN CASSIUS here for IFL TV with MTK Global. Delighted to be joined by Michael Conlan and Mr. Bob Arum. Bob, you've been travelling a lot in the last 24 hours.
Well, not a lot. I mean, we were in London yesterday for Tyson Fury. It was a little bit more vociferous than my young friend Mick. But you know, they're both great attractions in boxing. Boxing fans love both of them, and so it's my pleasure to be at press conferences for Tyson and now Michael. I'm really looking forward to coming back here in August. I'm going to bring my wife and we're going to spend some time in Ireland and be at this fight. You know, you can't, when you're an old guy like me, you remember like the last time I was here, and what a different place it was, and how the atmosphere was different. There was such tension when I was here. It evaporated the night of the fight when everybody came together to cheer McGuigan. But during the period we were here, it was really something that was not good. And I kept telling people, asking people, how the hell do you tell yourself apart? You all look the same. And they said, well, we know. But that was some experience.
Michael, this is kind of the first sought-after fight that you'd be looking for in your professional fight. And did you think it would come this kind of soon in your professional career?
I think, you know, I wasn't sure when it would ever come, but once Top Rank signed Vladimir and Bob put it out there that he wanted to make it happen, you know, I knew it would have happened whenever we really wanted it to happen. And you know, I told the team we want them. We spoke about it, and they got in contact with Bob and Top Rank, and they said let's do it. So it was very, very easy to get done, and I'm very, very happy.
And don't forget for a minute that this guy Nikitin is coming in just for a paycheck. He really believes that he can beat Michael. He really believes, you know, again, he's gone through these years, people saying it was politics that got you the decision, and he really wants to prove that he's the better man.
Bob, I know you've spoken about this a lot over the last few years, but just going back to 2016 in Rio, you just labelled it there that Michael Conlan was fighting Putin. So how much of an injustice was that, and how much will Michael want to put that right come August the 3rd here in Belfast?
It was a terrible injustice, but again, Olympic boxing has always had that problem where there is injustice. When Holyfield accidentally hit a guy when they said the bell had rang and he lost the ability to win a gold medal, Kevin Barry won the medal. And then what about Roy Jones? He beat the hell out of his Korean. And when they raised the Korean's hand, the Korean didn't know what happened. He was so embarrassed, right? So, I mean, we have that, unfortunately, politics, because the fighter fights not for himself, but for the nation. And therefore, you'll always get political decisions. This was a really bad one. And it led to, for a while, to certain changes in how fights were being judged. In the Olympics, all the judges got sent home, you know. But, you know, we're going to get the same problem in 2020 in Tokyo. Same problem. I don't know how you eliminate it unless you get judges who are totally independent and not the system that we have now.
Michael, would a win over Nikitin in the pro ranks, will it kind of erase that memory, or will it still kind of linger there?
I think, listen, it'll always be there. It won't linger. I think it'll be there. It's always going to be there. It's in history books and what happened. But I think when I fight Vladimir and I do beat him, I do believe I'll take him out. You know, it kind of sets up where I want to go as a professional. It lets me look ahead instead of having some kind of barrier in front of me. This is like a barrier from where I want to go. This is the first thing I need to knock down, and that's been my goal since turning professional is just to get this one, get it out of the way, and then I can look forward to winning world titles, multiple world titles, and that's all I can really say about it. I just want to get it out of the way. I'm looking forward to it. I know Vladimir's coming in full of confidence. He's obviously feels he has been wronged. His career is being remembered for a controversial decision for me, and he's coming in to prove a point. He's coming to my hometown. It shows you how confident he is. So, I'm looking forward to it. I need this fight.
Bob, how do you compare the professional careers of Michael to that of Vladimir Nikitin, since obviously they've turned pro?
Well, obviously Michael came with us earlier, and so we've been able to get him the fights that he needs to become the consummate professional that he's becoming. We started late with Nikitin. He continued in amateur boxing, and he came with us later. But he's a very hard-working guy, and his manager is Igis Klimas, who is a terrific manager, manages fighters like Lomachenko, Votsik, Usyk, all the Ukrainian guys, and he has a tremendous stable of really, really good fighters. Kovalov is another one. So he's high on Nikitin, and knowing Igis, he doesn't put his fight. He wants his fighters to fight and to take fights, but he's not putting them in to lose, right? He's courageous as far as his fighters are concerned, but he is not the kind of manager that puts his fighters in to lose just for a payday.
Bob, how easy is it working with MTK? Obviously, you guys are aligned quite strongly now, not just with Michael, but a whole host of other fighters, including Carl Frampton and Tyson Fury. But how easy is it to make these kind of fights with MTK?
Well, we found MTK to be terrific. Very, very supportive, very knowledgeable. The dialogue, we don't have to go through machinations to speak to each other. It's really been seamless. It's the way it should be. We're all on the same team trying to make great fights, great events, advance our fighters, and I've rarely found in boxing, and I've been in over 50 years, more cooperative people.
What a compliment that is to MTK, Michael.
Fantastic, best management team in the world, and it just shows that they're the biggest management team in the world, and now they're working with the biggest promoters in the world, and what a combination you got there, and so many fighters across both rosters. There's big fights to be made, and a lot of good fights to be made.
Could you let us know who could possibly feature on the undercard of this event at Falls Park?
We really haven't sat down and figured it out. See, one of the things I've learned from experience is don't imagine somebody being on this card that'll help sell tickets and so forth, because frankly, the MTK people, his brother Jamie, know that better than I do. I can suggest names and suggest fights, and it may be good for Las Vegas, but it may not be good for here. So we'll be listening to them, we'll be figuring it out, and the one thing I know, we'll have a great competitive card of really interesting matches.
Are we to assume that this will land on BT Sport as well, or not necessarily?
No, I don't think anything is decided where it's going to land in the UK.
But obviously on ESPN Plus in America.
It'll be ESPN in America and Canada. Outside, it will be on our Latin American network, Televisa, which handles all of Latin America, be in a lot of countries in Europe, certainly in Russia and the Eastern Bloc. I think that there's a great value for the fight being in Belfast, because it will be shown in Europe in prime time, right? Only in the United States and in the Western Hemisphere, it'll be in the afternoon. but people are used to watching fights and sporting events in the afternoon. For years, 20, 30 years, all of our fights were in the afternoon, Saturday and Sunday afternoon. So particularly the fact that it's the summer, we should have a vast audience in the Western Hemisphere.
Just a quick word before we go on, obviously being part of the Fela Festival. Have I pronounced that correctly? Fela. Fela.
Yeah.
Can you say it, Bob? Fela? The Fela Festival. Being part of it, huge.
Yeah, it's unbelievable, isn't it? It's, as you heard there, it's ran for 30 years. It's the 31st year. It's celebration of West Belfast, where I'm from. You know, I'm honoured to be a part of it. This is something that, you know, I could never even have dreamed of. So, you know, the fact that it's happening here, August 3rd, outdoor arena, it's going to be unbelievable.
Are we going to see that salute again from you at some point?
What, the finger? Nah. Unless someone comes in and
unless he
me
gets a
decision.
bad decision.
we don't want to see that again then, obviously.
No way.
I don't think that I don't think even Putin can send guys in here to give him a bad decision. Not here.
Okay. Michael, Bob, thank you very much for your time, and we'll look forward to kind of the undercard building and a huge fight night here, August the 3rd, live on ESPN+.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Cheers, thank you.